to be looking at how to set up QuickBooks. And we're going to talk a little bit about the difference between using QuickBooks and doing it with Excel or another program. So first I want to show you where you can find QuickBooks. So if you will open up a new browser window, you can just type QuickBooks in your search. And it will come up right away. Okay, so you have a couple of options when it comes to QuickBooks. So the easiest one to manage would be QuickBooks Online. So these three right here are QuickBooks Online. This here is the desktop version. So let's talk about the difference. So with the online version, you'll be able to access it from anywhere that you would like. You can access it from your phone, from a tablet, from your computer. So if you were traveling somewhere, you would not have to take your computer with you. You would still be able to access your QuickBooks. The other thing that is really great about the online edition is you never have to pay for updates. So with the desktop version, you are going to just pay a one-time fee, but there will be updates, and eventually you're going to have to pay it again. So there is a try it for free option, and there is a buy it now option. So if you do buy it now and you do at least 3 months, they give you half off, which is a really good deal. But we're actually going to do the try it for free, so we can just kind of go through what the options are. So let's talk about this versus using Excel. So in Excel, you're going to have to manually enter in everything. You're going to have to enter in your sales, your business expenses, everything will have to be entered manually. And then formulas will calculate what your revenue, what your expenses are, and what your net income is. So net income is just the difference between your revenues and expenses. But with QuickBooks, you're actually going to be able to have a lot of that come in automatically. So the great thing about QuickBooks is that you can link it to Square, you can link it to your bank, you can link it to your credit card, and then your information will flow into QuickBooks without you having to manually enter that. So we're just going to start with the simple start. Let's make sure that's right. So let's talk about the differences between these. Simple start is what the majority of you are going to need. So you really don't need to have managing bills, multiple users, tracking time. So tracking time would be for payroll. You really don't need to track inventory unless you have an actual store. Now, if you have an actual store, then you might be better off with the desktop version, because there are versions of the desktop that you can get that do inventory. You can also add in payroll if you did have something like that that you needed to add in. So we're just going to do start free trial. I'm just going to let it sign me in from Google. Okay, so you're going to put in your business details. So if you've already have a version of desktop and you want to move it to an online version, you can do that by creating a backup. You can also do the same thing in the reverse order. So if you started with an online QuickBooks and you decided that you wanted to go to a desktop version, there is a special backup that you use that you can use to convert from the online to the desktop or the desktop to the online. Okay, so this is where you're going to tell QuickBooks pretty much what you're going to be doing. So the reason that it's doing this is because it's trying to decide which basic version you need. So if you were a contractor, well, that would require this kind. If you were a doctor's office, that would require this kind. So that's what they're doing here. They're just going through, okay, is this the type of transactions you have? Is this the type of transactions you have? So we're not really going to be sending invoices. Now you can if you do that. We're not going to be tracking estimates. We do track sales and sales tax. We track expenses for tax deductions. You can also capture and organize receipts, which is pretty powerful. And you definitely want to run reports to see how you're doing. So you can actually, with QuickBooks, take pictures of your receipts and put them in QuickBooks, which is really very, very powerful. So when you first come into QuickBooks, this is your dashboard. So this, I would compare this to when you go into any of your social medias and you go to your insights page where it tells you all of your statistics. When you go into Etsy and you're on your dashboard. When you go into Shopify and you're on your dashboard. It just gives you a snapshot of what's going on with your company at that moment. Okay, or it could be for a whole month. It could be for a whole year. It just depends on what you select. So we are going to connect our bank. Okay. But I just kind of want to go through this for a minute. So right here is where it's calculating how much net income you have. So how much you've made in your business. This will tell your expenses. So the reason that something like QuickBooks is really very useful is because you can see where your money's going. You may not realize that you're actually spending this amount of money on office supplies. You're spending this amount of money on crafting supplies, or you're spending this amount of money on your cell phone. So this is very powerful. You can quickly get an idea of where all your money's going. And you can use this to help you decide, can I join another class? Can I buy this? Should I offer kits? Should I do this? Should I do that? So really, in business, it's very important that you understand where your money is going, where it's coming from, and what you have to use to expand. So it's very easy to get that snapshot in something like QuickBooks. Now, QuickBooks is not the only program. There are some other programs out there, but QuickBooks is the one that's been around for quite a while, and they have made a lot of improvements over the years, and they really are pretty easy to use, and it really can make a huge difference in what you're seeing in your business. So when you're getting ready to make business decisions, it's a really great idea to have something like QuickBooks to make those decisions with. You always want to make informed decisions. You don't want to guess, because that could get you in trouble. All right, so when you first start out, there's a lot of things that you really kind of have to set up for the first time. Okay, so one of those things is your bank. So we're going to connect our bank. Okay, so my bank is First Citizens. There it is. Okay. So all you have to do is look up your bank, and then you would put in your password, your user ID, and your password. And what's going to happen is it's going to connect it to your bank, okay? And then it's going to start downloading your transactions. Okay, so once it finds your account, it's going to connect it. Now, the first time, it may take a little while to download all of your transactions. Okay, so what it's going to do is it's going to bring your transactions in, and then you have to review them. So this is just QuickBooks saying, okay, where should these transactions go? And you need to select that. Then once they know where to go, you're not going to have to keep coming in and doing that each time. This is one of the ways that you can automate your business. So when you first come in, you're going to decide where these expenses are going to go. So see, here's my Etsy fees. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and specify this vendor as Etsy. Okay, and this is we're just going to make it other, because it really doesn't belong in any of those categories. So we can go in after we've started, and we can kind of add in some more categories. But right now, we're just going to kind of put in our expenses. Okay, so I'm going to put a little note here so I know what it's for. Okay. Okay, so this would be my sales tax. Yep. So you can kind of get the idea of what you're going to be doing here. So this is job supplies, which we are going to go back and change that to craft supplies. But you kind of get the idea. So once you have set it up, it automatically knows where to put them after that. So see here, it's already said, okay, this is the same one. We're going to put it there. Okay. Let's see, do we have? Okay. This is buffer. Okay, we're just going to make it other for right now. But you get the general idea of what you do. So you just keep going through and doing the same thing over and over. And then once you have that done, then you can, it will start bringing things in automatically. So I'm not going to make you watch me do all of this. So I am going to work on this, and then, and the first time you do this is going to take the longest, but after you do it the first time, it's going to be a lot easier. So I'm going to end it here, and I'm going to go ahead and work on getting all my transactions in. And then when I come back, I'm going to show you what it looks like, how we can change some of the categories so that you can get it more customized, and you can easily and quickly look at what your supplies are. So it's very easy to rename things and to add more categories in, and that really does help a lot when you are classifying your expenses. It's going to help you when it comes to taxes, whether you're doing the taxes yourself or you're giving it to a CPA. And it's going to help you get a quick picture of whether your company is making a profit or not.